Double S's, that'd be Sam Smith and Diamonds. 8:13 here on the Morning Dandy. It is a Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday time. That's right. Time for Wellness Wednesday, brought to you by Elevate Women's Health Center in Port Perry and chiropractor Shawna Dingman, Port Perry's only chiropractic and functional health care center focused on women, children, and babies. Don't let health concerns hold you back. Dr. Shawna Dingman, chiropractor and functional health care practitioner since 2000. And she joins us on the line right now, along with Scott Campsall from Okami Kai Karate. Good morning, Shawna.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, and good morning, Scott.
Good morning.
And hopefully you are well as well?
I'm well.
Okay.
It's Wednesday.
Don't worry, it's not a test. We're good. Yeah, if you got to be well, if you're going to pick a day, today be the day. Yeah.
Well, I have to.
The rest of the week you're on your own, my friend, but we're here to help you today. So, Shawna,
how are you? Like I care? Yeah.
We do care about you. We do care about you. We do want you healthy for the entire week. Yes. So, Shawna, we've talked about this subject before, but a little more research that has come out, and it's one of those things too. That researchers will continue to take a look at specific areas, and the specific area they're looking at are concussions and non-concussion neck pain or neck problems. So, from what I understand in a brief conversation via email, the situation now is this recent study that came out kind of is a compilation of all the different research that's been done in the past and giving everybody a clearer picture of what's going on?
Yeah, so concussion, as you guys probably know, has become a really, really major deal in healthcare because they're estimating that 150,000 people in Ontario alone this year will have a concussion, which is more than double what they would have ever thought it would be. And so there's this, it's like they call it a meta-analysis where people go and they review all the previous studies and they talk about the conclusions that they draw from it. So in the Journal of Athletic Training, they did this meta-analysis or a literature review of studies on concussion. And what's interesting is they concluded that things that often look like concussion are not actually concussion. The problem is that you can have neck pain that has the identical symptoms to concussion. And then really part of the point of the study was that, okay, we need to come up with better specific testing to figure out what is a concussion and what's not. But they raised some really interesting points that I think are just so relevant to us as normal people walking around in the study, where they really talked about how important the health of the joints in the neck are to brain function.
And that's no matter what, concussion or non-concussion.
No matter what.
Right.
Right.
Well, because I was going to ask you a simple question about, they say, okay, well, some had been diagnosed with concussions and weren't concussions and everything. And I know this sounds like a really simple question, but I'm a really simple man. How did they determine that? Because at one point it was diagnosed as a concussion.
Yes. Actually, I don't know.
Okay. So
I don't know how they determined that.
Right.
And I'm not sure I'm not sure that was the focus of the study.
Right. So what it does is focus what you were saying is on the neck again.
Yeah, they were really looking at effective treatment. And so one of the things that one of the biggest things that I pulled from it being a chiropractor is that, and this is really key. If people had, they called it neck manipulation, which in our language would be neck adjustments, so chiropractic adjustments for the neck. If people had neck adjustments and spine-specific home exercises given to them, they were 4 times more likely to return to their activity or sport. So say work, if you were an adult that, didn't get a concussion from sport, to work or sport within 8 weeks. So when you look at 4 times more likely, that is a really significant number. When you know someone who has had either a concussion or a non-concussive bump or something to the head where they're exhibiting the same kind of concussive symptoms, it can go on for, I see it in my office, it can go on for years. The pain, the dizziness, lack of focus, the inability to go back to the normal activities of daily living, it can just go on and on and on. So when you're talking about people being 4 times more likely to return to their normal activity within 8 weeks, that's a huge deal.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I have to admit, though, I'm afeared of having my neck cracked. What do you say to people who go, you know what? Yeah, okay, but I don't know.
No, a lot of people are.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be kind of creepy, but I think it's identifying the difference between a neck adjustment and cracking in the neck. So there are lots of different ways to adjust the neck. There's, we call it manual, or the formal name of the technique is diversified. You don't have to adjust somebody's neck that way. So I would say probably most of the women in my practice, when they come in, they don't want to have their neck, and I'm using air quotes here, cracked, which is totally fine. So we just use techniques that don't involve that. But the idea is that you can create the normal movement. You can get that sort of that connection between the brain and the spine working better again without the cracking, but an adjustment is still happening.
Yeah, and you were talking about that being the bottom line of this study, the fact that, this connection between the neck and the brain. And I'm wondering, is it extensive enough of the study? Like, you get a crink in that days, when you've got to do the whole body turn thing because you slept wrong or whatever. Is that reflective of an issue as well?
It can be, for sure. I mean, I think this is the thing. We're never taught when we're kids, as parents, we don't typically we did, but we don't typically take our babies to a chiropractor to have a checkup. So that's one of the things that is a specialty in my office is well baby checkups when they're born. And I see lots of newborns. I would say 2 out of every 3 babies that I see already, just from the birth process, have an area of their neck that has stopped moving properly. And then when you think about if that doesn't get corrected, every little fall. So they estimate that a child falls about 2,000 times on their bum learning to walk, which, having 3 kids, I think is probably a fairly accurate estimate. So every time they fall, every time a kid goes over the handlebars of their bike, or they fall when they're learning to skate, or they have a fall when they're learning gymnastics, or get checked into the boards in hockey, all of those things just add layers around it. So when you're talking about, for example, waking up in the morning and you just figure you slept wrong, maybe I need a new pillow because I can't move my neck, it is an indication that something might be happening in there that is limiting the normal movement and the normal function of the neck. And so that would definitely be an indication. If it doesn't resolve itself within a day, it's an indication that there may be something bigger going on, and it's a good idea to go and get checked.
You sort of alluded to that last month. I was talking about, people go to the dentist for regular checkups, and maybe they should go to a chiropractor for a checkup. And to me, that sounded pretty like sensible advice. But is there something where we can say, okay, you know what, these are little things that we could sort of do on our own to see if there actually is a problem? Like, is there certain ways? Like, I know I used to be really tight in my shoulders and lower part of my neck, and then I started doing some yoga classes, and I was trying to explain to my dad what I was benefiting from it, and I noticed that we were on a boat at that point, and I just really quickly turned my head to the right to see something on the shore. And I said to him, I said, well, before I did yoga, I couldn't do that. And so even just lowering my shoulders back down and trying to align things better, that helped me move. But is there something where, like if somebody's listening now, they can go, you know what, I could probably, let's see what my range of motion is, or it hurts when I do this, or is there anything that could point somebody in the right direction and go, maybe I should get checked?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have a 3-point it's a 3-point posture check. I'll post it on my Facebook page where you can do these things at home. And if you can't do any of these things, it may be an indication, but probably 2 of the single biggest things I would recommend is just have somebody take a picture of you from the side. So when you stand in your normal position where you're not trying to put on your best posture, you're just standing the way you would normally stand, have somebody take a picture and take a look at where your ear is in relation to your shoulder. Your ear should fall directly over your shoulder. If it's forward of that, then right away, that's a red flag. That's a problem. And there is something going on in the alignment, the normal alignment of the neck. So that's one way. But what you talked about just there with range of motion, you should be able to put your head all the way, almost 90 degrees over your shoulder. Even as an adult, you should be able to do a full turn 90 degrees right and left. And if, again, you can have somebody video you doing it so you can actually see what your range of motion is. But most people know. So we do this as part of our initial examination with people. I'll do their ranges of motion. And when I ask people, turn your head, they're sitting in a certain spot in the room, turn your head out toward the window. They know right away. If they can't look at the window, they know, and they'll usually say, oh gosh, I don't have full range of motion there. So those ranges of motion, whether it's turning to the side or dropping the ear down toward the shoulder so that you're doing this side bending of your neck, you can tell whether it's, first of all, is it the same side to side, and then whether or not you have full range. So if you're looking at those and you know you don't have full range, or you know that your head is coming forward of your ears, your ears are coming forward from your shoulders, those are red flags right there.
That would be a problem, having your head before your ears, I think. Well, and the thing is, too, we forget that we're carrying around this bowling ball. It's heavy, and it's putting a lot of strain on not only your neck, but your back and everything else.
Yeah, and if you think about it, if you were to hold a bowling ball, is it easier to hold it right in tight to your body or to hold it way out? And it's way harder to hold it out in front of you or out to the side, but that's kind of what's happening with our necks. If your head is starting to fall forward, you've got this weighted object that's now, gravity's got a hold of it. So as it moves forward, it has momentum now. It's going to want to keep moving forward over the ears unless you do something intentionally to bring it back so the ears are over the shoulders. And again, that's where if it is coming forward, you are also losing normal motion of the joints. That's just the way it happens. So getting those joint-to-joint movements back to normal again through chiropractic adjustments, but also having very spine-specific postural exercises or spine-specific exercises to help with the ranges that you may be limited in, those are critical.
Well, I just wanted to go back to that one point you had made that you do have parents bringing in infants. What's the age? What's too young? Is anything too young?
I've checked babies the day they're born. I've gone out and done home visits. They have the baby in the morning, and I go and visit them in the afternoon.
Can you tell at that age, really?
For sure, yeah. Yeah, so think about it this way, right? If you're holding a newborn, Dan, what is the one thing that you need to make sure of when you're holding that baby?
Got to support the head.
Support the head, that's right, because those little spinal muscles, they're not strong enough. And that a head on a baby relative to its body weight is way heavier than as an adult. So we need to support the head because the spinal bones are fragile and the muscles are not strong enough. So when you think about what that baby has just gone through, the birthing process is probably some of the most compressive forces on the skull, on the head, that they're ever going to have, hopefully, in their life. And yet we don't think about, well, what kind of an impact did that just have on their spine? So it makes sense that we check it, and yeah, you can feel it right away.
Yeah, and we are a resilient lot, so we tend, even if there is an issue, we tend to compensate, I would think, the human body, and then you're just compounding that as you get older.
Right, and especially as a kid, right? Kids are like Gumby. They fall down, they just get right back up again. But they don't have the same pain receptors that we have as adults. So they're also kind of designed to be able to not notice those things so they can continue to function. So you're right. Youth is definitely on their side. They may not complain about pain. They may not even know that it's there. And that's where we as their parents need to be really advocating for spinal health.
How does that come out? Okay, so like I know when I had my son, I wasn't thinking, hey, I need to call a chiropractor to check him out the day he was born. Like, right. So is that just a recommendation to a patient when you know that she's pregnant, or like how do you end up? How did that happen? How does that occur?
Yeah, so I have a postdoctorate fellowship in pediatric and pregnancy care. So I have a lot of pregnant moms in my practice, and so they often come in pregnancy because they have pain or they've just heard that chiropractic adjustments are great for helping the birth just flow better. And then I just educate them as they're there that when they have their baby, let me know. I'll come right out. We usually have a great chat. I usually bring out some groceries and a gift and some things like that for the baby to help them kind of just flow into motherhood. But they know from being a patient that one of the best things we can do right from the get-go is check their spine and make sure that if there is any kind of shift in the spine, that we can get it corrected right away. And a lot of times it's word of mouth. So now I think a lot of people are just being told, oh, make sure you go see a chiropractor. Oh, you should take your baby to see a chiropractor. So I think the idea of pediatric care is becoming more and more popular. It makes a lot of sense. And I mean, kids get fantastic results because they don't have all the stuff going on in their head that we as adults have. They don't have their mother-in-law telling them they shouldn't go and get their neck adjusted or whatever, right? They come in, they get adjusted, and they respond so much quicker than adults do. So I think when parents see that, then they tell other parents. So that's really how it gets around, I would say, is word of mouth or people already being a patient.
Well, there is a mother-in-law neck adjustment joke there, which I'm going to leave. Probably a good time to wrap it up while I'm still on the air. But no, it is a fascinating topic. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, how can they do that, Shawna?
My website is elevatewomenshealth.ca. My email address is drshawna@elevatewomenshealth.ca. And you can always find me on my Facebook page, which is Elevate Women's Health, or on Instagram at Dr. Shawna Dingman.
And Scott, somebody interested in getting out there, getting in shape so they have those strong neck muscles, how can they contact you at Okamikai?
They can go to the website, okamikai.com, okamikai.com. And if you want to hear that mother-in-law joke, I do. The phone number is 905-852-1055 at the station.
Yeah, I was just joking, by the way. Guys, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It is Wellness Wednesday, and we're joined by Shawna Dingman from Elevate Women's Health in Port Perry.